And in terms of society and culture, I'm interested personally in it because you said that some of the concepts are actually quite abstract, quite high level. Is there anything that comes to mind as an example of that? I mean, you mentioned something before with the postmodern idea, but what do you think in terms of that course is the most challenging concept, and what's your current kind of take on that?
I think the most challenging kinds of concepts are the ones like institutional power and power and authority. They're both, the reason that I find them abstract and hard is because they can be quite vague. Like institutional power can be many different things. It can be power exercised by non-state actors or businesses or governments. It can be, it can be so many things. And power and authority also exists at multiple levels. That's what can get quite hard at society and culture is you have the micro, the meso, and the macro. And all of these intersect and overlap. And it gets you thinking. That's why I think society and culture sometimes can be a challenging course, is because it requires you to be a very engaged person with what happens in the world around you. But yeah, I would say the most challenging or abstract course concepts would be things like institutional power and power and authority. But I think I probably made it more abstract for myself. I definitely made it harder than it needed to be. But I was just very interested in it. So I always tried to take it to that next level. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and find this new theory and I'm going to use this in my exam. And I was a bit too into it. So that's probably why it was very abstract for me, I think.
No, yeah, look, that's great. I think the point you made about going that extra mile, differentiating your responses through examples that aren't just in the textbook is a really important one, especially for students who are trying to get those top marks. It's not so much essential to do that to get a band 6, I would say, but to get a high band 6 and to stand out, and especially to compete with the best in the state, of course it's going to come down to how much you are differentiating your response to others. And if to differentiate it in a positive way, it requires additional research, requires, as you say, get in some of those more academic arguments and examples that aren't just the basic straightforward ones. So yeah, I think they're all really good points. But for anyone who's watching this, who's like, I just want to kind of get a band 5 or band 6 if I can, I don't think that's the main thing to focus on. But the takeaway here is that, again, to your point earlier, Phoebe, it's about doing what works for you, and you were interested in it and you wanted to push it to that extra mile. So that was a really important ingredient. But I think everything else about the past papers, making solid notes, but also condensing the notes, I would add as well, like I always say, like, make cheat sheets based on your extended notes so that you've just got the fundamental trigger words that are going to help you remember all of the longer notes anyway. There's usually a couple of parts, there'll be a few things on a page of notes that will help trigger everything else in terms of your recollection. And there might be statistics or key terms or something like that. So I would really focus on those as well once you get those more extensive notes done. But doing past questions, doing application while you're in the process of making notes is super important, not leaving that to the very end. So yeah, I think we covered a lot of good ground there in terms of the approach.